Welcome to Siding with Love, a podcast of the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Carol Bousquet, and I'm one of the co-hosts, along with Reverend Janet Parsons. We are so excited again to present our second episode of our podcast, Siding with Love. Our goal is to create a space for thoughtful conversation and connection with new episodes released monthly. You can find more information and listen to our latest episodes by visiting our website at gloucesteruu.org. Search under Events and Happenings on the website to find the link. Also, past sermons are also posted there for any listeners who might be interested in listening to past sermons. Janet, welcome back.
Thank you. This is fun.
It has been fun. And this is, as I said, our second podcast, and we've gathered at least some feedback from listeners to our first podcast. Mm-hmm. I have to say it's been so far very well received.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it has. It's really gratifying to see people take the time to listen and then email us and let us know what they think. And
yeah.
I was particularly struck recently by an email who mentioned how we offer grace and hope. And I thought that was really beautiful. I really enjoyed that very, very much. Because, yes, our world does need to see more grace, and we do all need much more of a sense of hope these days.
Absolutely. I wanted to mention, Janet, you took Sunday off, a well-deserved Sunday, and we had a guest minister led by the Reverend Art McDonald, the topic being, does our democracy need more religion? I thought his sermon was just stellar. He knocked it out of the park after our Saturday No Kings protest nationwide. He captured the energy, kept it going, refined the conversation, and I'm so grateful to you and to Reverend McDonald for the energy and the thoughtfulness.
Good. I'm glad that it was reflective. After a big event like that, people need time to process a little bit and to think about what they have just done and to see it in a bigger context as well. So it sounds as though Art just met the moment, as we are trying to do these days. And I'm delighted but not surprised.
So let's move into our topic. Our topic this second episode is compassion. And I'm going to hand it over to you for you to preface. You're writing an article for the Gloucester Times, and I'd like for you to tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, as I think we mentioned last month, we have monthly themes at our church, and our theme for October has been cultivating compassion. So we have had a few services talking about how we define compassion, how we differentiate it from empathy, and talking about examples in real life where we find compassion. And so I took the opportunity, since I was due to write one of the clergy's midweek musings column for the Gloucester Daily Times, I took the opportunity to reflect a bit on compassion in that column as well. For those who don't know, the Associated Clergy of Cape Ann take turns writing a weekly column for the Gloucester Times called Midweek Musings. And we rotate this among ourselves, and so we each probably get to do it 3 or 4 times a year. So this time I took the opportunity to talk about compassion. And I think that one of the things that's important for people to focus on is their ability to have compassion for themselves. So I wanted to start with that.
The article I have had the opportunity to read, and I have to say, you quoted one of my favorite authors, Christian author Anne Lamott, in her book, Bird by Bird. She likens that voice to a radio station, calling it the rap songs of self-loathing, in which we hear that we're incapable of healthy relationships, that we're a fraud without talent or any redeeming qualities. Leave it to Anne Lamott
Yes. I didn't dare use the call letters that she used for the name of her fake radio station. They spelled out a certain word that doesn't meet FCC or pulpit requirements. But her point being that it's very hard to turn down that voice in your head that is just telling you that you have no worth and that you're just constantly making mistakes. And we had a conversation at the church recently about where we thought that voice comes from. And it was interesting. People reflected on thinking that their parents could be so hard on them and left them with that voice playing in their head all the time. Sometimes people seem to think that they do it to themselves as well. And the question is, how do we counter that voice so that we're not listening to it all the time and it's not eroding our self-confidence and our love of ourselves?
Yeah, you wrote in your article, talking to ourselves in a kind way can sound like making excuses, but we can understand how we failed and still be accountable for our actions. And I mention that because you do in your article mention that there are ways that we can be self-compassionate.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I want to talk briefly about why this is so important. Because, of course, it really is the focus of all the major religions to live our lives as compassionate people and to have that be a goal, to be merciful, to be compassionate, to foster justice and love in the world. And the Buddhists in particular point out that if we're unable to feel compassionate toward ourselves, how can we possibly extend that compassion to other people? If we're feeling self-loathing, if we're feeling that we're not worth living, essentially, we are too angry and rigid in ourselves and unable to open our hearts, really, toward other people. So the important thing and why we're talking about this today is so that people understand that it's an important practice to start to learn to be compassionate with yourself, to learn to say, yes, I made a mistake, but that doesn't make me a bad person. I'm not the sum of my worst actions in the world. I am much more than that. And that way, we can feel more loving. We can feel more compassion toward other people that we see on the street. If you're angry at yourself and you see somebody out in public make a mistake, it's very easy to think, oh, well, yeah, look at them. And if we're feeling that we also deserve some grace and some acceptance and some compassion, then we're in a position to extend it to other people.
You write in your article, maybe as time goes on, we could find ourselves feeling more compassionate toward the whole world as we learn to notice other people, to see that they're weighed down by cares just as we are. We can learn that we share many of the same sufferings, that we too are lonely. We too have creaky joints and financial problems. We can begin to understand that we have far more in common than we once knew.
Isn't that true? It's so easy to forget, but it is so true.
It is. The pressures of today's world are overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And we often need to be reminded, which for me is a reason to be involved, certainly in my groups and certainly by attending church where I'm inspired every week and by being involved in initiatives that are ways of, for me, they're medicine.
Mm-hmm. Very much so. Yeah, it's medicine for your spirit.
Mm-hmm. And before we wrap up that discussion, I wanted to mention that in our emails back and forth, when you mentioned that you were going to focus on compassion for this particular episode, don't you know, in my YouTube search that evening, I come across a clinical psychologist named Dr. Andrew Germer, Germer, on YouTube. He has a podcast on just this topic. And this particular episode, he called Compassion as an Antidote to Shame. And the particular podcast episode is dynamite. It is an incredibly rich discussion. I recommend it to any listeners who might want to spend a little more time with the topic, handled by a clinical psychologist, Dr. Andrew Germer, Germer. So, all right, let's talk about, what are you reading?
What am I reading? These days, I'm a little preoccupied with a study group that I'm in of Unitarian Universalist ministers. And so we are doing a session on moral philosophy. So I am actually taking deep dives into moral philosophy with the overall theme of what do we owe each other?
I am reading, or about to start reading, a favorite author of mine. I read him in college. I read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. And this particular book is a man of the people. He was, or is, an activist. This book was published originally in 1967 and updated in 1989. He has a great voice and talks about human liberation under oppression. So, great topic for today's times.
Exactly. Yeah. Sounds
but
excellent.
I do recommend them. It's not a big book. Otherwise, I'm reading The Virgin Vegan Friends Gave Me. People know I became a vegan over the last year. It's a cookbook, and it's a fantastic cookbook. I love cookbooks. I tell people that since I went vegan a little more than a year ago, I have about 5 cookbooks open at all times so that I'm constantly inspired. Let's talk about our cultural events and calendar. I know you wanted to, circle back to Socktober as it relates to the topic of compassion.
Yes, I always want to highlight how I feel about the city of Gloucester and about Cape Ann, and how the level of compassion that we experience living here, and the numbers of groups and organizations that are out there trying to help people with their daily lives. And this month, we're seeing 2 separate efforts. One is, you see the posters around town for Socktober, which in previous years has been known as the Socks and Underwear Drive. And this is spearheaded by our church, the Gloucester UU Church, and our social justice team. And this year, the UU churches of Rockport and Essex have also been actively involved. So we are collecting socks and underwear and hats and gloves and small items for the Grace Center here in Gloucester, for Unity, which is the organization that is providing services and hangout space for young adults, and for Pathways for Children. So we're trying to cover all ages and meet the upcoming cold weather needs of a lot of people. And last year, we had boxes and boxes of socks and underwear and hats that went to all of these organizations. So we're very excited to be doing this again. This is our 4th season. And I also wanted to highlight the coat drive that's getting underway, sponsored by Together Gloucester. And this is also just a grassroots group of people trying to find needs in the community that need to be filled and figuring out ways to fill them. So they are putting out donation boxes for warm clothing, outerwear, hats and scarves and coats. The collection boxes are around various places. I know the fire department, I believe, and the police department, among many others. So hats off to them, so to speak. I'm so proud of this city and the work that it does to try to meet people's needs in all these different ways.
Yeah.
So just wanted to highlight these 2 operations.
Absolutely an act of compassion by many. Where can people drop their socks and so on for Socktober?
Oh, yes, of course. At any of the 3 churches that we've named, they have collection bins outside. Also, the John Tarr store in downtown Rockport, and Nelson's here in Gloucester.
Terrific. Next, let's talk about, at our church, the Friday BYO lunch.
Yes, we enjoy getting together for lunch at noon on Fridays and getting to know people better. So bring your lunch. It's open to anybody who'd like to join us. We hope you will.
From noon until 1 o'clock at the Gloucester UU Church. It is very convivial, I have to say.
It certainly can be.
Next, let's talk about our holiday fair, the fact that Our organizers are seeking vendors for anybody who has a product that they might like to have a table for. That the holiday fair is December 13, 9 till 1:30.
Right. This is part of the Middle Street Walk that I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with. It's up and down Middle Street. All the businesses get involved. So the stuff going on at City Hall, at Cape Ann Museum. It's a lovely event. And so we schedule our church fair, as does Trinity Church as well, another of our Middle Street neighbors. We have our holiday fair to coincide with this. We serve a great lunch, a chowder and chili and hot dogs, and all kinds of vendors offering their wares. And it's very successful. So, yeah, if there are vendors out there who are looking for places to display, please contact the church.
Yes, absolutely. I remember last year I got nervous. I was supposed to be helping and got stuck behind the horse-drawn buggy on Middle Street. I was delighted to see the families upon that in the city. And then onward to the Gloucester Meeting House, featuring Charlie Chaplin's classic silent movie, The Gold Rush, with live organ accompaniment, Sunday, November 2 at 3:30 at our church on this day. It's called the Gloucester Meeting House.
Yes, and we do this every year with a silent movie with organ accompaniment, as it used to be done back in the day. It's an opportunity to show off the capabilities of the amazing organ in our church, and we have an organist who this is one of his specialties. So it's a lot of fun.
I love the organ in our church. It's mesmerizing to listen to performance on that. Every Sunday morning, mostly. It's incredible. And then finally, the Gloucester Unitarian Universalist Church Entryway Gallery this month features works by the famed Shep Abbott, the documentarian, and Jim Seavey. Gallery hours are Sundays before and after the service, Catch as Catch Can, and Saturdays from 1 until 5 o'clock.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they've got some beautiful art on display. Jim's work that he's displaying is mostly local. He loves to go out and take kind of abstract photographs of the seashore and the quarries and what makes Cape Ann, Cape Ann. So, yeah, check it out.
Well, that does it this month.
Okay. I'd like to leave everybody with part of the Buddhist spiritual practice for building compassion for yourself. And this is a little saying that you can use throughout your day. Get in the habit of saying this to yourself and build your own compassion so that you can offer it to others. So in closing, may you feel safe and protected. May you be free of suffering and pain. May you be peaceful and happy. And may you love and be loved.
Until next time. Thank you for joining Reverend Janet Parsons and me, Carol Bousquet, today. We're the co-hosts of the Gloucester Unitarian Universalists podcast, Siding with Love. For more information, please visit our website, gloucesteruu.org. And speaking of love, we'd love to see you in church soon. Until next time, be well.